Welcome to Deep Dive Film School. I'm Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Pulcher.
And if you like what you see/hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us on all the spaces and places that people what?
Find good media. That's right. Our most active platforms are YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So find us there. You can also follow me, Adam Pulcher, at Letterboxd.
Yes.
So please join us there as well. All right. This is kind of a bonus episode.
Yeah,
it's a forgotten gem.
A forgotten gem, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I will.
You will.
I will indeed.
This is we've done some amazing movies about movies. This one speaks to me so much, though. Probably because, I had just seen Pulp Fiction. I was into indie movies.
This is 95. This is like one of the most 90s movies you could ever watch in your whole entire life.
Absolutely, completely. But it's a beautiful kind of behind-the-scenes look at how an indie movie is made.
Well, and it's interesting. I don't think that they knew this.
Funny.
They didn't know this at the time, obviously, but it ended up being a real time capsule of the indie movie scene in the 90s.
The Spike Mike, Slackers and Dykes.
Yes, I was thinking of Spank the Monkey, Jim Jarmusch.
Sure.
Slacker, like Clerks, all of that era. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah, absolutely. So, the first time I actually saw this, though, was in film school, and I didn't really know what was coming. And, it's like this behind-the-scenes satirical. It's very well executed. It's a very heady movie. Like, the meta shit going on here is mwah. Yeah. They made this fucking movie for $50,000.
No kidding.
Which is wild to think, because Buscemi is really the only one that anyone knew here. Right? I think
even Catherine Keener, I guess, not in
95, maybe a little bit, but Buscemi had done Reservoir Dogs, right?
Right.
That's what really kind of put him on the map.
That would have been it.
Right. And there's even a Tarantino joke in here later, which we'll get to.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
But he's really the only heavyweight at the time. Obviously Dermot Mulroney, has a little bit of pull. Keener's amazing, super young here, there. Yeah. And then, of course, Peter Dinklage's first role in a movie.
And this is directed by Tom
DiCillo.
Tom DiCillo. And what else had he done?
He went on to do... I was wondering, I'm like, is this the only thing? Because I love this movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely... I love every part of this movie.
Yeah.
There's so much going on here. So much to wrap your head around. And I was like, what else has he made that has been even close to effective as this? And there's nothing really, a lot of TV.
Law and Order episodes.
I don't think he went that route.
I think he does. I think he's got a couple of Law and Order episodes.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
But it's like, which, hey, pays the bills.
Like Chicago Fire, that kind of stuff.
Yes, exactly.
But this door opens and we get, this first act, basically, right?
Yep.
And we see this ghetto ass craft services table that has like Oreos and grapes and old bananas
and a carton of milk that they're debating whether or not to throw away, and then they end up keeping. Yeah. I also thought it was really interesting that we start black and white again, very a la Jim Jarmusch, Clerks,
and just an indie thing to do back then. Play with color back and forth,
and then the color stuff is what's in camera, is sort of what we're starting with
in this first sequence. We'll call it.
Yeah,
and yes, pretty much like they start with black and white. When they're rolling is when we see color.
Yep,
and so kind of. Keener's nervous. She has to tell her mom she doesn't love her or something like that, right?
It's this memory about abuse that she's dealing with.
And she was really great in this Richard Gere movie.
Yes,
have you heard about this?
The shower scene in the Richard Gere. Maybe
good.
That's all I should do is shower scenes in Richard Gere movies. Maybe that's all I'm cut out to be.
Just some of the cast of characters around Nick, who's Buscemi as the director here. We have Wanda, who's his AD, and she's perfect. She's just like kissing his ass the whole time.
And yelling at everybody else.
And Mulroney, Dermot is the DP, Wolf.
Yeah.
Who's amazing.
It's his eye patch and his leather
That's
vest.
later.
I guess that's later,
but he's kind of controlling, but artistic.
Yeah.
And he has one line in here. He's like, I love the shot. Hell, I designed it.
That's right.
And so all of these amateurs.
Who's the boom operator in this first role, in this first sequence? Because he has like, it's the most 90s outfit, and I know in that era it wasn't gay, but my God, seeing it now, it's like the gayest thing ever, because it's like a midriff. like athletic shirt
and like a bike hat with it's just like what's happening?
I don't know.
I don't. He didn't seem familiar, but Kevin Corrigan's the only other one, and he's the guy, the focus puller on the
focus
camera.
Puller,
He was the only other one that I recognize.
Who ended up doing shows like he was like on Titus and some of those other TV shows.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff like that. But this first sequence is pretty much like the worst possible day you could have on set. This is like the planes, trade, and automobiles version. First
it's the boom mic, then it's there's sound, there's like a car driving by.
Yep.
And then it's we need to
reset.
We got to reset. This one was out of focus.
Wolf puking from milk in the background.
Well, and that one, so the wolf puking one is when they're just rehearsing and they get it magically right. That's like the worst part, is that it's the really good one.
There's a good take in here somewhere, but the camera's not rolling. It's so good, out of focus. The boom mic keeps coming in. And I love the little meta shit that they're doing here, because these are the moments in movies where the editor cuts away, right? You don't see that part.
Yep.
Or you don't see that out of focus thing or whatever in the background. So after watching this again, I'm like, no wonder they fucking showed us this movie in film school.
Yeah.
Like, not only because it's wildly clever and entertaining and it has that 3-act structure, but it messes with it, right? It messes with what you think you're seeing versus what's actually happening, versus that all of the situations are just hilarious.
Totally. Well, and I think the other thing that's interesting is that yes, this is what happens, but this is also, for lack of a better term, what used to happen.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really interesting now in 2025 to look at this and be like, yeah, there was almost this sense of like, and I don't know if it's like guys going to film school in the 90s and so then they do this, or if this is how you do it, so we got to do it this way. But it's so interesting to see how big the crew is, even on this shoestring fictional movie that they're making, where you're like, to have a focus puller, right? Like in any indie movie that's being made on a shoestring budget today, like there isn't going to be a focus puller. There isn't going to be all those people, because you're going to have like a black magic camera that you can check the dailies on 30 seconds after you film it, right? And so it's like, that's why I say it's this time capsule, is because there's something so interesting. Even the idea of having a DP, like on movies that you and I have made on zero budget, like we didn't really have a DP. Like we were kind of just all the things, right? Like we definitely had people that helped with different stuff, but there wasn't like a crew, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think to some degree there is, and all of this shit is scrappy, right? You're just kind of trying to do what you can. Hence the very last scene where they just go with what ends up working, right?
100%.
And so you just kind of go with the flow and hope things work out. And this the beeping, that starts annoying everyone. Like, where is it coming from? Where is it coming from?
And then Buscemi's character just has a full-blown meltdown at everyone because of the beeping.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
He's just like, and you suck because of this, and you suck, and I never wanted this anyway, and I had to settle for this, and I had to settle for that.
He freaks out on set, though.
What you think about is like that, especially for an indie production on such a small scale, you're like, to ever admit that, I'm thinking of Sarah Jessica Parker and Ed Wood being like, this is awful, you're all terrible, why are you celebrating this? And it's like, well, this is our life. Like, why would you ever, you have to be the cheerleader. You have to cheerlead your own thing, right?
Oh, yeah, or who else is going to do it?
Who else is going to do it? Yeah,
absolutely.
You have to believe in it.
That's the beauty. But we do find out that the beeping is his alarm clock.
Yes.
And we wake up, and this was really just Nick's dream, right? And it is a horrible dream if you're a filmmaker. This is, night before whatever you're of the big scene. And
and the fact that he melts down, right? Like he talks about it later, that he's like, that was the worst, that even in my dream, I don't believe in myself. Right. And it's like, oh, it's so good. Yeah.
And then, we get back to the door, and we're now in color when we open the door. And this is the Chad Palomino movie, or the scene with the Chad Palomino, who is the big actor in this movie.
Who's trying to get his indie cred by doing like a small movie.
Someone, you know, what do you have coming up next? You know, I think Nick asked him that. He's like, well, I have 2 movies right now. One, I play a rapist that Michelle Pfeiffer falls in love with, and the other, I play a sexy serial killer that shacks up with Winona Ryder. That's right.
Again, the most 90s a rapist that Michelle Pfeiffer falls in love with. Jesus. And he is one of those quintessential that guys.
For sure.
I think just in real life, like as an actor.
Yeah, no, and I've seen that. I've seen him before. I think he still does stuff. But, you know, there was a lot of rumor going around when this was made that Tom DiCillo's first movie, Johnny Suede, I think, with Brad Pitt, that was his first movie, and then he moved on to this one, and then he made a movie about an actor that's unbearable to work with and constantly gives notes, so everyone kind of assumed that it was Brad Pitt.
But he says it wasn't.
Based off of Johnny Suede, and he's like, no, it definitely wasn't, but it's definitely somebody, and I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who it is. Maybe he's just saving Brad there.
I mean, it also is kind of a Rorschach test. I think anybody I think it's such a perfect...
amalgam of all
of these people. So it's like, of course it's going to be that. But I remember this actor the best, I think, as sort of the third not main character, but the third in the group of bank robbers from Point Break.
Oh yes,
that's what I remember him the most.
Yeah, no, that's great. But we're inside the bedroom with Wanda, and they've just slept together.
Yeah.
Is it Wanda? No, I'm sorry. Wanda and Wolf are together. Chad and Nicole are the ones who
you go. Yeah,
they've already slept together. The real scene's happening today.
Yep.
Right. And you know, just the comments that this whole thing has on the movie industry in general, you know, working in it, dwelling in it, like all of that is here. And like anyone who's been in these situations, like I'm kind of surprised this movie doesn't get more love. And
totally.
Maybe it does, but people don't really talk about it a lot. And it's such a, I mean, all of these movies have been an amazing comment on the process. And in particular with a handful of them, not 8.5 necessarily, but Hollywood, you know, in general, and they're commenting on that. You know, the hostess Twinkie shit,
which I guess apparently, and I've never seen it, but this is Tom. What's his name?
Tom DiCillo.
DiCillo, thank you. This is Tom DiCillo's sort of send up or homage to a Truffaut movie called was it Day for Night, for Day, Day for Night.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so which I haven't seen, but that's what I read is that because it's another one of these sort of behind the scenes, you know, and then you're getting these bits and pieces. Which again, I think that's its own sort of sub genre of movies. I'm thinking of, and this is not a movie per se, but there's the movie / play Noises Off, which is about, you know, this group of dysfunctional actors, and it's sort of that behind the scenes thing. Shakespeare in Love does this. There's a lot of movies that do this where it's like you're a fly on the wall for the process, and the thing that they're making, you never see the finished version of, and it doesn't matter. It's all of the shit that happens that goes wrong in between it. And I think here having Catherine Keener as the like less famous actress that people remember from that one shower scene, right, in the Richard Gere film, that she's slept with the Brad Pitt or whoever proxy.
Yeah.
And that when we first meet him, he's like, he's maybe going to tell this girl that he had a one night stand with that he loves her. You don't know. Like he's getting ready to divulge something. And she's like, you got to go. And he's like, okay. And then we get all the chemistry, right? And we're like, oh, this is going to blow up at some point, right? Because she knows this thing, and now he's being the fucking diva on set, and she's not really treating him like the diva the way he thinks he deserves, and it's because they've already slept together, and he's definitely was the one that was being like, don't kick me off back to my own room, you know, baby. Like, let me stay here with you, and you're like, oh, this is going to be fascinating.
It is, and this is the day that Wolf does have an eye patch.
Yes.
He shows up. Yes. He shows up with that. But
your cinematographer has an eye patch on.
Yeah, which is why. Yes. But another great obviously intro. Very self-involved. Me. That's the cue. Like, you know, he's yelling at them. But constantly making suggestions like, let me pick your brain.
Yeah. Let me try laying on the bed. Like he tries all these things that look so awful. Like they're
the
worst.
shot's already set up,
Yep.
and you can see her shoulder, and he's out of focus. Like all these terrible suggestions. But the thing is, like, there's this balance they have to play because he is the most famous person in the movie.
Yeah.
And they have to appease him a little bit,
Yep.
right? And so they're like, let's give it a shot. Let's try it.
It's so fucking painful. It
It's
just
so
keeps
bad.
going. And
Wait.
every
Now I think I want an eye patch.
yeah, that's right. Fuck, thank you. I forgot about where he wants the eye patch. And he's trying to put it on. And he's like, no, I actually need that. All of these things. And you're right. It's like it's the insufferability of having to have this balance of like, you feel so much for Buscemi's character being like, let's just try it my way. And he's like, let me workshop a couple more things with you first.
Do you want his acting or his face?
Right,
You gotta
exactly.
pick one.
You got to pick one of them. Yeah, because he's like, let me try turning away from the camera. And you're looking at the blocking and you're like, no one would ever do that. That makes no sense.
So another sequence where just shit continually goes wrong again, but in a different way. Like the last time was more production based.
Yes.
This is more actor based.
Yes,
right?
it's personality based.
Yes, for sure. And him changing the shot, seeing half this face, it's just brilliant. It's just as bad as the first Nightmare, though.
Yeah, it totally is.
And then,
And you're waiting for it to be someone's nightmare potentially, but you don't know who.
and yes, and because to your point, we have these interpersonal relationships with Wolf and Wanda,
Yeah.
and Chad and Nicole, and all of this
And
stuff.
other people want to sleep with Chad too. This is the other thing, right? Is that from the jump, we've heard these conversations about, I'm going to take you out to this jazz nightclub.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, I didn't even know you liked jazz. Or like, I like jazz. How come I don't get to come? And you're like, oh, it's because everybody wants to have sleep with the, and do they want to sleep with him because they actually think he's sexy? Or do they want to sleep with him because he's a leg up on this ladder? Because that's the other thing is like, all of these characters are so hungry to get in, to find their way in, which is why they're doing this work to begin with, that there's this almost unspoken thing of how much any one of them would be willing to fuck the other one over in order to get a better job somewhere in the movie industry, right? Because you get that vibe from the AD, you get that vibe from Wolf, you get it a little bit from everybody that it's like, if there was an option to run out that door with the fake Brad Pitt at the end of his sequence here, they might do it.
I don't know if Nicole's down with that.
She might be the only one. She might be the only one
Who's not.
Who's not.
I agree because,
Right?
like he kind of like starts stroking after he has an eye patch on. He starts stroking her hair.
Ew, it's the
for
worst.
no reason.
Yeah.
And it's so creepy. And she's just like get away from me.
Yeah.
He's like, and he blames her for sucking, and he's the one changing all of this stuff. And she listens back to the dailies and can hear them.
And that's another great trope, right?
Yes.
Of someone's mic still being live.
Exactly.
Right? Like
all of that.
stuff. Yeah.
It also gives Buscemi the opportunity to say, I didn't want to tell Wolf this, but the eye patch is a little gay.
That's right.
And then he immediately takes it off, and he's like, okay, that's fine. And then at that point, she's like, fuck this. She's like, I'm going to just, hey, everyone, I slept with Chad last night. I fucked him.
Yeah.
So let's get that out there. So.
And then we find out, well, first, then it turns into like a real confrontation. Has probably my favorite line in the movie, which is the, you look like a Twinkie eating motherfucker, I believe is the line.
Yeah.
Is absolutely fantastic. And he gets actually, and I think he punches him. And now Chad is like partially knocked out, and they drag him
choking.
Yeah. And they drag him out to the car, to take him back to his hotel. And I love that I believe it's the gaffer puts his script on him, like after he's knocked out, because he wants him to read his script.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, and then he proclaims his love as he's being taken out, right?
Yeah.
Like the take from Act 1. It's not recording, but it's real this time, right? They have the similar like, oh, the great scene, and no one's actually witnessing this.
Yep.
And then she wakes up,
and it's her nightmare.
And it's her dream.
It's her nightmare, which ends with her kissing the director, with kissing Buscemi's character, and him professing his love for her.
Yes.
Right? But then that affects her in our third act, because now she's like, which happens,
even
right?
though it's a dream.
You have a weird dream about a coworker, and then like the rest of the day you're like, You're like looking at them kind of different, even though it was your brain that came up with the stupid thing. And it's like, I do think it's interesting though, that it made me think about this. Those movements of an act one and it going to dark and an act two going to dark, kind of
having
a thing.
The door transition
That almost feels like they're cutting to commercial or something. I don't really understand it, but it's again such a 90s indie movie thing. There's so many movies from that era that did that, of doing these like chapters, right?
Sure.
And I don't know if it came from Jarmusch. I don't know exactly where it came from, but you're like, Tarantino earlier on did it
for sure,
and Reservoir Dogs. Clerks had it. Like so many of the 90s indie movies, that was like a thing. I think Man Bites Dog had it. Sure. Like these chapters, like, and I don't, it's not really something you see as much anymore.
Yeah, if they are, it's a lot different. It's evolved, but I think back then title cards were like, you could make them cooler than they ever had been, and so
well, and I wonder too if it was like, it is kind of a pastiche of like, I'm gonna, even though my movie's about a video rental store, I'm gonna base it upon Dante's Inferno. It feels like a really 90s,
for sure,
like Sundance-y kind of pastiche, right?
100%, 100%. And then we get into Act 3 and we open a smaller door, and go through that as part of the set. And it's a recurring dream sequence scene, and we're finally getting to the real scene, right?
Is this a send up or playful homage of Lynch? I'm just thinking of the smoke machine not working. If it's a dream sequence, why does it have to be a midget?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, it feels so on the nose.
I felt it a little bit.
A joke about David Lynch.
Yeah, just some Twin Peaks like throwback
100%.
stuff. Yeah, I could see it.
That was going through my head through this whole third sequence.
It might be. I hope it is.
Yeah.
But they're moving on to scene six, the dream sequence. Scene 5 has been postponed. Now they postponed the scene in the last act, and that's the one
in her dream. That's the one we just saw.
Yes, but that's in her dream, not necessarily the scene that got postponed. That's just her dream, right?
Right,
so we don't know what actually got postponed. But now we're on this scene 6.
And like any one of these kinds of movies that does this behind the scenes thing, we have none of this makes sense to us about what the actual movie might be. And for all intent and purpose, it looks like it sucks.
Yeah, right? It probably does. Yeah. We don't get any info. We don't get a name of a movie, anything like that.
I think the movie is called Living in Oblivion.
Oh, it is.
I don't
think I ever knew that.
I think I believe that's in the first act that they mention that.
I mean, it's a perfect name for this movie.
Yes.
I don't know about for that movie.
100%.
So, like I mentioned before, this is Dinklage's first movie he ever did. Premiered as an actor in this role. Tito, hilarious,
or Toto, depending on whether or not you want to piss him off.
Who you're talking to. Hilarious and ahead of its time as far as exposing the hypocrisy of little people in movies and representation there. Like he's very against that and hates that, as we'll get to here. And his role in this is kind of what you would think is in a dream sequence, right? And that's why he
David Lynch film.
And that's why he took it, because he's able to speak out against it, But
yeah, it's a perfect vehicle for Dinklage, the actor himself, to be able to say, this is meta, and I get to be this character. Where it's like, where it is so funny that it's like, but you're the actor who showed up. Like, you're the actor who like responded to the casting call, and you're mad about the whole premise of what you showed up for, and you can't let it go. Like, even for the itty bitty paycheck that this indie movie might be giving you, that character can't let it go, so he won't do anything. He won't even laugh.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what kind of a laugh? Right? It's just like so insufferable in the best way.
Absolutely. We'll get it. And it's funny because he's the angry elf in Elf.
Yeah, that's
so he did go on to
100%
do a few different things. And of course, Game of Thrones was just a big part of it. But inside...
And now the Toxic Avenger. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know
he's in the new Toxic Avenger remake.
Wolf and Wanda's relationship is failing in real life here. Mm-hmm. She breaks up with him, even gives him a kiss, which is kind of confusing, and just leaves him dangling.
Yep.
And I think
he is brokenhearted.
He is, and he even moves his eye patch so a tear can fall. It's so fucking stupid. And as you're watching this, if you've never seen this, you're like, where does this fit in with the first two? Like the first two kind of had the same thing, but two different scenes.
Yep.
It's in color, so maybe it's the second act.
Yep.
It's their own personal version, her dream. Like we just don't know where we are. You know, you mentioned it before, but the crew's talking about the T160 smoke machine.
That's right.
And trying to figure out how it works.
You can't really remember. Does the gas go in here or the oil?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's both. Yeah.
That's right. And then, you know, Dinklage trying to understand what his role is here, right?
Yeah.
And he's trying to, you know, Wolf wants it handheld, so they kind of keep changing that and moving around.
Mm-hmm.
But Dinklage, you know, he's kind of trying to motivate Nicole, right?
Yeah.
And so he uses, you know, him as a metaphor. Like he's the metaphor.
But then the thing is that also like Buscemi's really funny because he's really playing the straight guy for most of this movie.
Yeah.
But there's these
other than the freak out scene at the end of the first act.
Yeah. But there's these other moments where he doesn't, as the director, it's great because it isn't like when you start watching it, you're like, oh, he's a really good director and it's the rest of the cast and crew that are all wacky. But as the movie goes on, you're like, oh, he's not good at this either. Like nobody in here is good at this because even he, when she's like, do I see him? And he's like, no, you just see the apple. And then later he's like, maybe you see him a little. Right. And you're like, yeah. You're the director. Then, does she see him or not? Yeah. Like that's the most infuriating answer ever. A little? Yeah. How do you see another character that's in a blue tuxedo and a top hat a little bit? That's the worst
and he's
direction.
Like, well, maybe laugh a little.
Yeah,
right?
maybe you laugh a little.
And he's like, why should I laugh?
Yeah.
I want to be specific. What is the context
yes.
of laughing?
Show me the laugh. And he's like, nah, right? You're like, really it's so bad. But I just love that. Yeah.
He is brilliant. And he calls out the dwarves in the dreams. He's like, I don't even have dreams with dwarves in them. He's like, the only time I see them is in your stupid movies like this. You know, and which is such an honest line.
If a man who has dwarfism doesn't see dwarfs in dreams, nobody sees dwarfs in dreams. Exactly. It's not a thing, right?
It is a Hollywood made up.
It's a Hollywood made up bullshit thing. Totally. It's so dead on.
He's brilliant here, and he is to Nick's straight man. He is the dead pan.
Oh, it's incredible.
He knows it.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and you're like, he is. I mean, from the very first moment we see him, he's getting madder and madder. He starts out mad because he's in the bathroom and he comes in and he was like, "Why don't you have a stool?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And then she calls him Toto. Mm-hmm. That ain't good.
Nope.
That doesn't help. And it's just like he starts mad and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Well, Nick's mom is there and she says, "Is the little guy gonna do gymnastics?"
That's right. Well, let's the little guy.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this because you mentioned earlier this feels like a non sequitur to the first two, and then the older woman from the first act shows up, and he goes,
"It's Nick's mom,
right?" And we're like, "Oh,
that's why he's dreaming." Yeah,
that's why it's all pulled together. Because I was like, "Where does the older actress that's in the first act?" Mm-hmm. She's not an older actress. She is. She becomes that, but she's his mom. And she's walked away from the old folks. So I'm like,
she's wandered off and she's on set and they're just trying to keep her, just, "Mom, just have a seat. Don't, you know, this is taking a lot. Just sit back. We'll get you back there," or whatever it is. Nick is at the point of quitting after this. Tito is not happy. Everyone is confused. Wolf wants to do it handheld, all of this stuff. And finally Mom just grabs the apple and starts walking around to get the good take, and they do everything they want and it lands perfectly. They even get the laugh.
They get everything.
They finally shoot the actual good take, right?
And
you didn't have to use a little person.
And again, this is like, not to belabor the point, but I think it's so interesting when afterwards, this is a bygone era thing, is there are, especially with an indie film, you would never see dailies. There wouldn't be dailies. You would you'd go to print and you'd have to see if you got it then, right? And if you didn't, you do a reshoot and try and get everybody back. And so they're asking him, "Did we get it? Is that it?" And he's sitting and he's finally like, Yep, that was it. We got it. Let's move on. Like the scene is done." And it's so interesting because you just think like that in that era of filmmaking, everybody would know what that meant. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of the kids that I teach, teenagers that want to be filmmakers. They wouldn't know what that meant.
Yeah,
because you flip the DSLR around and look at what you did. Yeah.
No,
that was it. That was a good take. Everything's in focus.
Well, I think earlier in the movie they say every act has at least 5 to 8 takes or something like that.
Right.
Every scene.
Yeah.
Every good scene or something like
that.
Well,
I think it's half the reason why every time Wolf is suggesting it, he's telling him he doesn't want to do handheld is because I think that all bets are off, right? If you do a handheld, there's no way to fucking know if you got it right or you didn't, right? Like,
it's true, you're on film.
Where if you're on a dolly or a tripod, at least the odds are much higher that you didn't shake it around and make it all crazy looking.
And then we get this last moment.
It's so cool. Like,
it culminates everything.
Every other filmmaking technique that the movie uses to then tell part of a story through is all clever. This one's brilliant.
It is.
And I didn't remember a lot of this movie. I remembered from when I saw this. I think I saw this at the Tower when it came out.
Wow.
But every other part I remembered, but I didn't remember this room tone thing.
Yeah,
it's so damn clever.
Yeah. Basically, hey, we need 30 seconds of room tone. And it gives everyone this like I'm trying to think of the best way of saying it.
Like a meditation.
Yeah, but you kind of everyone takes their own 30 seconds here, and you see kind of what they want to be or what they think,
what they're hoping for.
Yeah. One guy. The one guy with the script who's he's like, maybe I'll put him in my movie. He just thinks of a hamburger.
Well, and what's great is that in my brain, because Catherine Keener's character, she goes to a nightmare scenario where she used to be an actress and now she's gonna work at this burger joint.
Yeah.
And then the gaffer it just wants a burger from that same burger joint that's her nightmare. So his heaven is her hell. Her hell is that now she's a waitress in this burger joint, and he's like, and he's just eating a burger at the burger joint that she's working at.
And then Nick is at the Academy Awards of course,
of the greatest movie.
No, hold on, yeah.
What is it?
Chad announces it's the best film ever made by a human being.
It's a new category.
Yeah, and then
they invented for his movie.
Yeah, then he turns into the guy at the beginning of Wedding, the Wedding Singer, like greatest guitar player in the world.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
but he just starts naming all these people who didn't help him.
Yeah, the girl who left him at the prom or whatever, left him at the school dance, and he's like, "Guess what, you guys." Yeah,
but it is an amazing way to end the movie.
Yeah.
It gives everyone their own moment. You could see how amateurish all of them are,
and
that they're just trying to live some kind of dream here, figure out who they are, what they want. But it is a super fun snapshot into the world of movie making, the stress behind every stupid little decision and creative inspiration. And I don't know. Nerds like us will get all the jokes. I don't know if this is for your everyday moviegoer necessarily.
Right.
But if you are a film geek and love the process, seeing how the sausage is made, all of that, goddamn, this movie, 5 stars.
Well, and it still harkens back to all the other conversations that we had about movies, where it's like what these really are at the end of the day are these love letters to the scrappy outsiders that are trying to do a thing. Exactly. Like, I don't think that any of our movie about movies that we've done have really been like, oh, this is like,
it's so easy.
Well, and even because even like the most quote unquote professional one from 8.5 is
he has no idea.
He has no idea what he's doing. Yeah. He's completely out of his depth. He's lost the plot, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting to see it. My last thought, probably my favorite moment that wasn't necessarily a funny moment, but that stuck with me is the great take from the first act that they don't get, where his mother, she can't, Catherine Keener's character can't quite unlock doing the performance right, and her mom sweeps her hair away,
and it unlocks something.
And it unlocks this memory of her being little with her mom, and then that's when she does the great take, and they don't get it.
Yeah.
But it's it's played so well, and it's so early in the movie, and it's like this kind of bucket of cold water of ooh, wow, that was just a beautiful little moment.
I fucking love Catherine Keener so much.
She's so good.
She's amazing.
She's so good.
Beautiful. She's just always infectious on screen. I just love her.
Yeah.
In everything. Probably mostly being John Malkovich.
Oh yeah.
She's amazing there. But an absolutely blast to revisit this movie. Truly a forgotten gem.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I like we mentioned, I just don't think people know enough about this movie, or it just doesn't get the the cred that it deserves. I think so.
Yep.
Awesome to revisit. Super fun to have in our queue now, which is awesome. So thank you very much for watching. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, or you can follow me at Letterboxd Adam Pulcher. Everything's in the description below if you want links.
Next week, we will be doing another Punishment That One Scene. This is our second one. Our first one was Top That from Teen Witch. I believe that's the only That One Scene punishment that we've done, though. Maybe some of them just felt like a punishment upon review. But this is going to be a scene that killed a franchise, friends. This is that one scene from Spider-Man 3. This is emo Peter Parker.
Emo Spidey dance.
We'll see you guys next week for that.
Please join us.
Yep. Thanks for watching.